It's my privilege this morning to introduce to you, for those of you who don't know him, Nathan Tilson. And he's going to be giving our camp presentation today, as well as the message for this morning. I've known him for quite a while. And his wife, Holly, is here with us as well. Raise your hand, Holly. I don't see who you... There she is. All right. I worked together with Nathan and Holly a lot. And learned a lot about how to do different things through them. It was a privilege. And so, Nathan, at this time, you may come and bring your presentation.
Do I just click over and then I get my stuff? Oh, that's magic. Good morning. As you guys have already heard, my name is Nathan Tilson. I'm Assistant Director out at Whispering Cedars Baptist Camp. I have down in my script that I have to make an obligatory joke about the weather. That was planned much before I saw the wind this morning. That was a fun drive on the way over. It was good. Thank you for having us today. I know I'm filling in, but it's good to get out to the churches and see where all our kids get to come from, and also a chance to tell you about who we are. I've been out there as assistant director for the last 2 years. 3? This will be my 3rd summer coming up. There we go. We talk in summers around camp. We're a youth camp out in the middle of Genoa, Nebraska. If you don't know where that is, that's fine. It's about a town of 1,200. It's close to Columbus, in between Grand Island and Columbus. We do about 8 weeks of camp every summer, averaging around 60 to 100 campers per those weeks. Now for the fun part, why am I even here? It's great to see you guys, to communicate what camp is doing, things that have changed, a chance to hear about all the stories that happen at camp. I think one of my favorite phrases that my dad has coined is, camp is fun, food is great. And those are the 2 things that you hear from campers when they get back from camp, because they're so exhausted after the week of fun that that's pretty much all you can get out of their half-awake self. So my job is to just tell you guys a little bit about what camp was like last summer, and a little bit about what camp will be like in the future. It's also a great chance for me to hear about you guys and what's going on with you, as you guys are responsible for keeping us open. Camp is about $300 this year, and that is only 40% of the cost for a camper. The other 60% is covered all by individual and church donors. So we work our best to keep that number low for our campers, and we just really appreciate everything that you guys give and everyone gives to us, that we might be able to stay open and also keep that number low. The average cost for a youth camp, I can't remember it because I didn't write it down, I think is $600 to $800, and that's just for like sports camps, and they're only about 4 days. So we appreciate everything that you guys do, that we can keep that number low and get as many people out as we can. Camp's purpose. Why do we have camp? It's fun. That's not the main thing, but that's part of it. It's a great chance for social connection in a world where everything's very digital. We have a week of where it's just the campers with one another, no phones, no nothing. They hate it on Monday, they love it on Tuesday, and it's great. Growing up, my dad is the director at camp, and I've spent a few years out there. So anybody who remembers me growing up remembers me as much shorter and much rounder, much cuter probably. But he always talked about his frustration as a youth group leader on how kids would go to camp and make decisions. And they would talk about how they heard a story or a passage explained in a way they've never heard it before. And he would think, as a youth group leader, we were talking about that last Sunday, Timothy. What do you mean you're hearing that for the first time? And it's just camp is a great opportunity to be saturated in the Word, but also saturated with good fellowship with one another. At first, I thought camping was much of like a reaping, ministry. But I've found over the years it's more and more of a seed planting and a watering ministry. It's great for not quite discipleship, because it's a full week. It's only a week. It's not that's what the church's job is to do discipleship. But it's so close because it's so intense and so compact and nutrition filled that it's just great. That's a great opportunity to get out there. And ironically, I don't know if you guys have met many high schoolers recently. They're very busy. Every weekend seems to be claimed. Every night seems to be busy until 9 o'clock. And I've heard some people say camp is relaxing, which is strange because I try my hardest as a guy who runs a lot of the games and activities to make them as exhausted as they could be at the end of the day. But they're like, oh no, it's so great just to not have the distractions of the world and just be hanging out with my friends and my cabin leader and getting to enjoy God's creation out there. What do I do? Assistant director, I made this joke this morning. I make it everywhere, and I'm still not tired of it. My title is pretty loose on what I do. Mostly I get dad coffee and bring memos places. But besides that, I'm responsible for the staff. I do most of the hiring, and I get to deal with, click for me. I got to deal with these guys. This is last year's staff, not including the cleaning staff. This is my counseling staff. And my job is basically to make sure that they survive, that they're still alive at the end of the week. They are the boots on the ground people. They get to stay with the kids every day. They're responsible for devos at the night, for helping with counseling, for leading games. And I'm responsible for keeping them alive and making sure that they're spiritually fed every morning with devos and that they are getting enough sleep to survive. I can't say the correct amount of sleep due to how busy we are. But a lot of this staff is returning next year, and I'm excited. I've had 3 years with a lot of them. And we say at camp that camp is for campers. That's what we say at Whispering Cedars, and that's the whole purpose. You give up pretty much everything as a staffer to make sure that the week is great for staffers. But my goal as kind of head of staff is just to say, camp is a little bit for the cabin leaders. Camp is a little bit for the cleaning staff, because the relationships that you build while serving together is almost greater than that from playing tug of war. Speaking of tug of war, we offer lots of different camps. Tug of war is later. Family camp this year is, I should have the dates down, but I don't. I think it's July 6th this year. It's a lot of fun. It's a free-form camp. You don't have to come out for the whole week long. You can come out just for a night. We get together. Normally we have fireworks. This year we will not, because 4th of July is on a weekend. So this photo of John always cracks me up. Sorry. So 4th of July is on a weekend this year, so there's probably not going to be fireworks this year. But it's a great time to get out for the parents to just give their kids to our camp staff, and the camp staff gets to go take them off and play games like this one. We had a tropical theme last year. As we saw earlier in the slides, it's a construction theme this year, but last year we had a tropical theme, and we measured the whole camp in bananas, which is a lot of fun. This one was, we got a sailboat out at camp for the Hawaiian theme, and we had Molly here try to measure the mast of the sailboat, which is about 40 foot tall, I think 60 bananas tall, and it's a lot of fun. My favorite thing about camp games is as you go through them, someone's going to catch on that this game is silly. And that's probably my favorite thing, because about halfway through the banana game, someone always comes up to me, and most of the time it's like a junior hire because they think they're the smartest kids in the room. And they will go, so I've noticed that Samantha's banana is larger than my banana. How would you know who measured the correct amount of bananas for this thing? I'm like, well, I know that. You don't have to worry about that type of stuff. And that's kind of the vibe that we give for family camp. It's very low-key, very casual, and a lot of fun. Last year we had a speaker from Scotland. Well, I guess he's in London now. And they did a good job. They made them build picture frames, which the wives then painted pictures for, and it was a good chance for them to do things with their hands and just fellowship. Now on to the tug of war. Junior camp. I was responsible for leading junior camp last year, and my brother-in-law was the game guy. He's the guy in the Hawaiian shirt here. He's normally a pretty mellow guy. I have never seen him as excited as he was for this game, though. We took a big old bucket of sand, dumped it into a kiddie pool filled with water, and then filled it full with a bunch of plastic gems, and then said, all right, kids, you got 30 seconds, grab as many things as you can. And kids, being kids, loved a chance to make a mess and get their hands dirty and dig around in there and look for the gems. And after that, we'd reset the whole thing, and I've never seen him as happy as he was mixing his big old pot of sand and such. The cabin leaders didn't love it as much, but camp is for campers. There's some of my cabin leaders playing the games. Kitchen staff. You guys donate a lot of kitchen staff. This is my best photo I have of you, Bailey. I can switch it, don't worry. The kitchen staff, I had a lot of kids from this church last year, and I'm very grateful for that. We cannot run camp without volunteers. That's the other section that this church donates a lot to our camp, is in man hours. It's not just in finances, but untold man hours during the summer and off the summer. We do skit night. Skit night is always a lots of fun during junior week. We had a speaker, John Musgrave was the speaker last year. He would tell a Bible story in costume every night. And my cabin leaders would be like, oh, that's a little weird. I don't know how I love it. But the kids were so into it. They were just like, oh, it's so much fun to hear a story with props. And he was really good for that age. Sailboat. Tug of war. Easily the best game of last year. How many of you guys have played tug of war before? How many of you guys think you can outpull a 8-year-old? Okay. So, in charge of games last year, we had the cabin leaders versus the campers. And the campers were really excited because they get a chance to go against the cabin leaders. And the cabin leaders are good at science, good at math. And they're going, I'm 200 pounds. They are 40. This will be an easy game. We did 3 rounds. Guess how many rounds the cabin leader won? 1? Oh, we got 1. So we did run it again after they lost the first time, and then we ran it again after they lost the second time, and then they started catching on that the amount of friction of 80 campers on one end of a rope cannot be overcome by the amount of force given by a bunch of college students. And it was probably my favorite moments of the summer. Half the cabin leaders lost their voice at the end of the day from shouting commands to kids, and it was just, it was a good time. There's a good one for you. The best part about each one of our aged camps is we have a dean, a program guy who is tailored for that week. And Pastor Sean Rootmiller does our junior high camp, and Ryan Witt runs the games for it. And Pastor Rootmiller is perfect for junior high week. They do a bunch of wild and wacky games. They are wild and wacky. They had team hula skirts last year for the tropical theme. Junior high week is probably my favorite week. It's the goofiest, it's the most fun. We get to go out camping under the stars one of the nights, and that is super fun just because it's a smaller week due to just the amount of kids that are in the middle school age range. So we got to go camp under the stars. It was a lot of fun just to get kids out of their comfort zone and enjoy it. Speaking of Pastor Sean being a goofy guy, he always takes them on a 3K, I think is what it is, about a 2-mile run, and he gets everybody all excited for it. He's like, all right, this week it's going to be 105. And on the day that it's 105, we're going to run 2 miles. How's that sound? And the whole crowd goes wild every year. This year he did not plan it right. It poured rain on us, and it turned into more of a mud run. They had to go up Mud Mountain. It is a little slick, as you can see, and the times were not as good this year. Nobody got a PR, but it was a lot of fun just making a mess. Skit night again for this week. Always making a mess, junior high week. Crate stacking, if you haven't seen it, you try to see how high you can get on 2 stacks of crates. Takes balance. It's really good if you're short. If you're tall like me, I'm not as gifted in the balance category. Our largest week of camp is senior high week. We have about almost 100 campers for that. I don't remember the exact number we ended up with. This year we got to do something a little wild. We went to Pawnee Plunge and got to enjoy time. They have a surf machine there, float around in the pool, and just a time to be social. As I said earlier, high schoolers are really busy, and the amount of time that I can build into the schedule for them for leisure and hanging out with each other, as silly as that sounds, is critical, and it just makes a great week of camp. They do a lot of sports, and the friendships built at high school camp continue on for a long time, and it is great to see how excited everybody gets when they come back to stuff. This is not a picture of it, but the dean for that week is Pastor Jeremy, and he always talks about his favorite thing is the worship service. If you haven't heard a group of 100 high schoolers sing recently, it's amazing and it's really good. It always gets us behind schedule because they always sing an extra verse for everything. I get over it eventually. We do a mud bowl every other year. It's a muddy mess, but it's probably one of my favorite things. We played mud volleyball. We built statues. Some people were better at building statues than others. It was a good time. There's the mud pit from up top. We also offer other weeks. Senior Saints Week is probably the busiest week. The schedule that Mrs. Couples puts out is grueling, I would say. It's a lot of fun and relaxation, but they get up about 5 a.m. for a Bible study, and they have tons of speakers come out. They go places, they go on trips, they play Mexican Train until 2 a.m. I can't keep up with them, but they have a great time during that week. There's also puzzles. Holly, how many puzzles did we do last year? You don't know? 12, I think, was the final number. There was one puzzle that stumped them for the whole week, but it's always a good time. Men's retreat and paintball retreat and ladies retreat, I don't think I have a photo of here because I forgot to add it, are other retreats that we have later in the year, and they're a lot of fun to be more specialized. Paintball retreat is a little less Bible-focused and a lot more paintball-focused and makes a mess of our camp and is a good time. Work weeks, as I said, you guys donated a lot of work hours. We built a deck onto our new cabin last year, and a ton of other projects to get things done. We just redid the ceiling in our office, and this winter was a lot of maintenance winter. So not a ton of new projects. This is the main one. But my dad's crown of glory, I guess, is we've made folding bunk beds in one of our cabins. We found the need for having flexibility in some of our spaces as we've tried to change camp a little bit for the needs. Some churches have noticed that, it'd be awesome to come out to camp. Is it okay if we have a small group? Yes, it'd be awesome if I had a small group place for you to meet. So in one of our cabins, we put folding bunk beds in, and now it can operate as a conference room when it's not operating as a bunkhouse, and that's good. Speaking of new stuff, this is a picture of our new office that we're looking at putting up sometime in the next couple of years. Our current one is a double-wide trailer that is on its last legs, but we're making it work. And the main purpose of this building is to provide living quarters for our HCP. Right now, our camp nurse stays about 50 yards away from where anybody who's sick would be at. So this is the main purpose of this building, is to build a place for the sick person to be next to their health caretaker, and that'll fix a lot of problems. Oh, there's our dates. July 5th for family camp. July 13th will be junior week. 27th for junior high. Senior high, out of order here, will be the 20th. Upcoming dates, spring retreat is not that far away. I know March Madness is first. I'm excited to see a lot of the teens there. But spring retreat is a chance for you kids to come out and experience one night of camp. $45, and it's on May 1st. The other thing that Lauren has already talked about is our spring kickoff is not. That was not there this morning. Anyway, behind the giant G is April 2nd. And that's when our spring kickoff will be. That is strange. It must have happened when we transferred the file. Spring kickoff, I guess I'll call it from now on out. And that's a good chance to get together and see what's upcoming. You'll hear a lot of the same things from Dad, but mostly it's a chance for past campers and past cabin leaders to come together and just see each other, hear about camp, and see what is coming in the future. Camp plan for everything. Any questions, class? This is your chance, otherwise we'll jump into the message. I can stall real quick, don't worry. If not, that's fine. That means either I rambled too long and everybody fell asleep, or it was thorough enough. Prayer request, I always try to tell this everywhere. This year, we're actually doing pretty well on most of our staffing and volunteer needs for the summer. We are short on cleaning staff, I believe, and some cooking staff. So please pray that we might find people for that. And then finances are just a little bit low. As the prices of things go up, we're finding that giving also has to go up, and we're trying to give our best to keep the number for camp low. So those are the two main things at the moment. Huge praise, though. I normally am looking for cabin leaders all the way into May. This year, I was pretty much done in February, and that's thankful just to, I'm thankful, one, to the Lord, and two, just to a lot of return cabin leaders who used to be ex-campers, and it's just awesome to hear. I think Langdon said this morning, he said, giving back to camp is a good reason of working at camp, and I've got a staff of 10 kids who are past cabin leaders, and now they're just like, not past cabin leaders, past campers. And now they're coming back because, one, they love camp, and two, they love giving back to the ministry that has given so much to them. Cool. Last chance for questions.
Do you have a number of decisions that were made?
I don't. I have a note on my paper right here that says, hey, I need to get that for the next presentation I give, and I still haven't. I know, hold on, let me do the math. I think there were only 2 salvations last year, but there was several, what's the term I'm spacing on it? Assurances, and then a couple of commitments. But I think junior week, we had several assurances of people who we think were saved before, but just made a decision there. And then I think there were 2 professions of faith. And we might have had somebody, it's sticking out to me, and I can't even put the face to it, which I should, because I know everybody. Someone decide, feel burdened that they should be baptized, which it's not a common camp decision, but it was awesome to hear. Good stuff. And then, obviously, not to overlook them, the people who are like, oh, I need to recommit my life, I need to be in the Bible more, I need to pray more. There's several of those, but I don't have the exact numbers for stuff, so I'll make a second note on that. I did miss this earlier. It is construction theme this year. No, we will not be giving your kids power tools. I don't trust Bailey with a power saw. But we will hopefully mix it into the theme and have a lot of good stuff. I know the last time we did this theme, we built team outhouses. And your job was to see who could make the prettiest outhouse. And I remember one was, I don't remember where they got it, if they stole it from storage or something, but they got a thing of gold spray paint, and they painted an entire toilet gold, and they got first. So, but it was good. I see that hand in the back. It's a stretch. Last chance. Anything else? Perfect. Well, thanks for listening to me ramble. We'll move on to the message now. You can open your Bibles to Luke 8. Luke 8. Camp is a fun time because it's for kids. So you're there hearing a lot of kids' messages that you've heard 10 to 50 times. And then it's always amazing to me, one of my cabin leaders said it last year, I've heard that story 100 times, but this time it hit me differently this way. And it's just great to remember all the stuff that you can glean out of the Bible, even if it is just kids' messages for 8-year-olds. My cabin leaders learn just as much as my campers, and it's awesome to see. Luke 8, if you haven't got there already, I will open in prayer now. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for today, and thank you for a chance to get together and fellowship with fellow believers, Lord. Thank you for a chance just to worship and glorify you, Lord, for all that you do. Thank you for the care that you give to us, Lord. And we know that it's greater than the care that you give for nature, and it's so obvious the care that you do for nature, the rain that you provide every year, every blade of grass, but yet you know us even closer, Lord. Thank you for being a giver of gifts and for knowing us on a personal level. Thank you most of all, though, for sending your Son to die on the cross that we might be able to reach you directly. We don't need an intermediary, for you've already provided one. Thank you for the blessing that is in all moments of our life, Lord, and that we may never fail to take advantage of it. In Jesus' name, amen. I missed this joke earlier and I'm coming back to it. You hear stories that you hear before. At camp, we always say there's 101 ways to play kickball. And I'm always amazed at how many times a cabin leader will pop up halfway through a game explanation and say, oh, this is just game A with a twist. And we're like, yes, now go have fun with it. So I'm going to have you guys indulge me as we go through a very familiar story to all of you in Luke 8:22. And I will read there. Now it happened on a certain day that he got into a boat with his disciples, and he said to them, let us cross over to the other side of the lake. And they launched out. But as they sailed, he fell asleep, and the windstorm came up on the lake. Fitting for today. And they were filling with water and were in jeopardy. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, Master, Master, we are perishing. Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging water, and they ceased. And there was calm. And he said to them, where is your faith? And they were afraid and marveled, saying to one another, who can this be? For he commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him. This is a passage that we're all familiar with, so I expect you all to know the answers to everything on the test here today, class. What body of water are we in? Good job, good job. I won't make you raise hands because it's not actually class. Why are the disciples in a boat? Yeah, because he told them to. That's the only way to cross a body of water. Good job. It's very easy to come to these passages that we know very well because we know all the settings. We know they're in a boat. We know what does Christ pick on the disciples for? For their great faith? Bad faith. Good. Yes, he talks to his disciples and says, oh, they have little faith. Which is funny because, as you guys all know, because everybody's come to this passage before, what is the disciples' main occupation before they followed Jesus? Did they like fishing? It was their livelihood. It doesn't ever say if they like fishing, but the second that Jesus dies on the cross, what do they go back to? Fishing. I think they liked fishing. So they liked the water. This was a chance for the disciples to get back in touch for what they love. They've been on, I think this is in the second year of Christ's ministry, and they've been on just this constant gauntlet of meeting new people, following Christ, learning stuff from him, ministering to the sick, and they've just been busy. And this is a chance for them to get back to where they love to be, on the water, nice and relaxing. How many of you guys have seen a boat at night, been on a boat at night? What water looks at night? Is it choppy most of the time? No, it's calm, it's flat, it's smooth. Out here, it's smooth enough you can see all the mosquitoes jumping off on top of it. But yeah, this is a chance for the disciples to relax, to do what they're familiar with, nothing new. They'll get back to what they know. They get a chance to get on a boat and just reconnect with the water, as all sailors talk about doing. But then, their leisure cruise, as we can call it, suddenly changed. The waves just got a little bit taller. The winds got a little bit stronger. And immediately, as the waves got taller, what'd they do? That was a trick question. It wasn't immediately, because storms do swoop down fast into the Sea of Galilee, they say, but they probably toughed it out for a little bit, because they are, what's their occupation? Fishermen. They've probably been in a storm or two. They know what to do. They're confident. And they do immediately run to Jesus, but only after, what's it say in verse 23? It says, but as they sailed, he fell asleep, and the windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling with water and in jeopardy. It wasn't the second the clouds burst. It wasn't the second that things got a little bit choppy. It was only when things got dire did they run to Jesus. And what does Jesus say to them when he wakes up? Where's your faith? Yes. And it seems like a very curt response because their lives were in danger. Of course they're panicked. The synoptic gospels, the first three, all have this passage, and they all say it a little bit different when they go to wake him up, because in one, I think in Matthew it says, Master, Master, and in Luke it says, no, in Luke it's Master, Master, it's Lord, Lord in Matthew, and then it's Teacher, Teacher in Mark, and it's kind of funny to see these discrepancies in the Bible, but in reality, I don't know if you guys have ever been with a group of people in a storm. Everybody panics, and there's many commentators that say they probably said all these things at once because one person didn't go gently wake up Jesus. It was in panic. They ran to him, Teacher, Teacher, Master, Master, Lord, Lord. Do you not care, it says in Mark 4:38, that we are perishing, is their words. And the cutting words from panic sometimes are not amazing, but you are amazed that they came out of your mouth. You're just because it's Jesus. The disciples know Jesus. They've seen him. But their words are, do you not care? Do you not care that we're going to die? And that Jesus stands up calmly and rebukes the winds and the waves, and they instantly cease. Did the disciples have faith in Jesus? Yeah? Who think they did? We'll take a poll of hands. Who thinks they had faith in Jesus? Who thinks they didn't? Nobody in the... Oh, I saw a quick one. Yeah. They're not accused of having no faith. They're accused of having little faith. Because they're fishermen, they were probably confident in their abilities. And this is the common message that we come to when we read through this passage. And anytime you hear it presented is when the storms and trials of life come up, you should reach out to God and reach out to God immediately. Don't wait for it to get bad. That is the main thing you'll hear when people go through this passage. But as I've gone through and taught it several times at camp, there's something else that I've started to notice over time. It's so easy for us to see the finite sinner disciples have little faith and relate to them. But who's the other person in this passage? Jesus. What's Jesus doing during this storm? Sleeping, yeah. One, he does have a little unfair advantage, being 100% God, 100% man. He knew that he wasn't going to die in a storm that night. And he knew when his time was because God has plans for him. But he was sleeping. And how fast does it say he fell asleep? Let's see, what verse is that? No, that's in another one. He pretty much walks to the front of the boat and falls asleep immediately. They give him a pillow on a plank of wood, and Jesus passes out almost instantly. Because up to this moment, he's been on all of his journeys, all of his teachings. He's had interactions with thousands of people. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever worked with people before, other human beings, but they're a little exhausting sometimes. They're a lot of work. And he's not just like doing his daily job. He's coming up and learning about them. He's seeing their needs. He's fixing their needs. He's preaching to them, seeing how little faith they have. And it's an exhausting thing to do, ministry. And when he gets into that boat, he passes out instantly. Because the gentle rocking of the water, you could probably say. But more importantly, it's probably because he's exhausted. And how often in our life do we react to trials well when we're exhausted? Not well? Anybody who says, well, please teach me your methods. Because every time that something goes wrong at camp, I don't think I ever react exactly how I want to. And I definitely never react well to a camper who has woken me up in the middle of the night. Jesus wakes up, hears the situation from the disciples who are panicking, who are freaking out, and goes and fixes the problem and then says, "O you of little faith, where is your faith?" Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith, it says in Mark. And in Matthew, I lost my bookmark. That's fine. We'll come back to it. He doesn't lay into them, not like I would have. If someone had woken me up for a nap and knew that I was perfectly in charge of the situation and that we were safe there, I probably, in my finiteness and sinfulness, would have been a little less than happy with being woken up. But Jesus sees the problem. He says, you guys had no faith that in who I am and what I'm doing. This is right before, that is missing. That's fine. This is right before Peter realizes who God is, and not who God is, who Jesus is, that Jesus is part God, that he is the Messiah. And it's just one of those moments that Jesus looks at his disciples and go, oh, you haven't quite gotten it all yet. You still have more to learn. And that's an important thing for us to glean from this passage as well, because it's very easy for us to look at those who mess up in Scripture and connect with those people. But we also need to be, as Christians, as Christ followers, we need to reflect God's glory in how we act in everything, even when situations come up, when the waves get a little tall, when the winds get a little bit strong. How are we supposed to react to people when people are people, I guess? One of my favorite passages, and we can turn there, and that's where we'll spend the remainder of it, is in 2 Timothy 2. 2 Timothy 2:22 is the section. I'll give you a chance to get there. As a very people person, as my career demands me to be, this chapter right here, one, I love Timothy, and I love the sections about it. It's great to see the relationship between him and Paul. There's so much to glean there. It's so practical. I'm a very practical person, so the simpler something is, I can grab it very easy. But Paul uses this analogy in many other passages about the Christian life, and he compares it to this part of athletics. Does anybody remember what the event that he uses several times? Someone whispered it. He calls the Christian walk a race a lot of times. And I don't know if any of you guys were runners in the past or are runners now, but it is important to have the correct mindset for what a race is like. In long distance track, like I used to run, they do this thing called a waterfall start. And basically, they stack as many people as they can into a tight little area, and you all condense down to the middle of the track as fast as you possibly can, because the inside of the track is the fastest part of the track. But it's important to know that everybody else around you is also going to be trying to get to the inside of that track. It's important to know that you're going to get bumped into. You're going to catch a cleat or two. But it's important to keep running no matter what happens to you. And that's why the analogy of the race is so good. In verse... I had it marked and then I moved it, which was not smart. There we go. In verse 3 through 5, it gives a couple simple analogies that are easy for my brain to comprehend. It says, "You therefore must endure hardship as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No one engaged in warfare entangles himself with the affairs of this life, that he may be pleased with him who enlisted as a soldier. And also, if anyone competes in athletics, he is not crowned unless he competes according to the rules." You got to work hard, is what it's saying. In Hebrews, it says we've got to run as though we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. The purpose of life, of us being here, is not simply just to be here and coast through it. We're not supposed to just enjoy the relaxing cruise across the lake of life. We must be prepared for storms coming up, for people to come at us and to present problems to us. And we must be prepared to be, as it says later in this passage, let's see, in verse 24, one of my personal favorite sections about how to deal with people. It talks about, as a servant of the Lord, you must not quarrel, but be gentle to all, able to teach, patient, in humility correcting those who are in opposition, if God perhaps will grant them repentance so that they may know the truth, and that they may come to their senses and escape the snare of the devil, having been taken captive by him to do his will. It's so easy for us as Christians to kind of get used to the day-to-day, what we're supposed to do. Be in my devos in the morning, be in church on Sunday, prayer meeting on Wednesday night, talk to everybody I know about Jesus and what he's done for me. It's very easy to remember all those things. It is very hard, I think. It's very easy for us to do all those things at the beginning because, I don't know, in our kind of our Midwestern mindset, many of us are workers, and it's so easy for us to work. It's so hard to do what it says in verse 24, be gentle to all, able to teach, patient. That is what Christ demands of us for how we must interact with the world. Even when people wake us up from our naps, even with the storms of life seem to be really pressing and the boat might be going down soon, we must focus that we're here, one, to tell people about Christ and what he's done for us, but two, we must do it in gentleness and in patience and in humility. And the reason that it gives there is always very eye-opening for me. That God will perhaps grant them repentance so that they may know the truth, that they may come to their senses and escape the snare of the devil. It's so awesome to see how gentleness and humility and peace are connected directly to how successful our ministry is. Because how often have we been right about something, even something trivial, like a March Madness bracket, like, oh, I called this. We are not always gracious in our correctness about things. And I would encourage you, as you go through life, that you might be gentle and willing to teach, no matter how big the waves get, no matter how much water is in the boat, no matter how stressed you are, how busy you are. It is always important to take time to invest in people. That's the whole reason that I'm at camp right now. It invested a lot into me, but it's a chance for me to invest into people, no matter how exhausted I am, no matter how little sleep I have. And not that I always do good, but I strive to be a teacher and gentle with those who don't know anything, who don't know as much. And to avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, it says in verse 23, because that's also important when you're correcting those that are in the wrong. And just how we do things is important as the things we do. Now, I'm not saying that you guys need to do all you can do. No, I'm saying you should do all you can do. But I'm not saying that you should forego rest and eating. The old adage is, what would Jesus do? And Jesus in this scenario takes a nap, which is good. In Kings, I think it's Elijah, he says, Elijah, eat some bread, take a nap, things will be better. So I'm not saying that we need to be completely exhausted for the Lord to the point of not being healthy, but I am saying we should not be coasting through things in life. We should be struggling as a race to be focused on why we're here, on what our purpose is here. It's not just simply to go to work every day, earn money, and come home and eat delicious steaks. It is also to invest in those around us, to be willing to teach, and to tell everybody about what God has done for us. Thank you. Dear Father, I want to thank you once again for today, and thank you for a chance to get together and to look at your word and what you've done for us. Thank you for being patient with us, and no matter how many times we mess up and fail, Lord, I thank you for always being willing to listen and to give us what we need. James talks about how you are willing, if anybody lacks wisdom, you are willing to give exceedingly and abundantly what we need. Pray that we might remember that as we go through our week, as we deal with people and their frustrations, Lord. I pray that we might be patient and reach out to you for peace and wisdom as we go through the day-to-day. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to interact with your followers, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.